I'm alright, goddamn, I'm bringing you new motherfucking chicken-licking commentary today. Today, I'm bringing you another episode of my top 5s. I've done this previously before, so you guys are pretty used to this series. If you're new to this channel, I'm gonna tell you what my top 5s is. It's where I pick top 5 things of something. Like, for instance, I've done my top 5 favorite video games, top 5 movies, stuff like that. The top 5 fears. So, well, maybe I should have been the worst 5 fears. I don't know. But today, started going to be watching a gameplay on Ground War Domination. I'm using MSMC Silencer Extended Mags, and I believe I reached over 70 kills. You see my score streaks on the Stealth Chopper, the Warhawk, and the Swarm. I believe I get all 3 of them, but this is a little kind of older because I've changed my score streaks around a little bit. I do not use the Stealth Chopper anymore. I got a little cocky and I stepped it up a notch because I was turned up. So now I use dogs, a VSAT, and a swarm. So yeah, it works a little better, and it helps you after you get the VSAT. If you can manage to stay alive, you can pretty much just keep your the rotation going. I've got some 100 pluses that you guys will see. I have 115 gameplay. I'm probably going to upload sometime later on this week, so I hope you guys will check that out. But let's get right into the top 5. So being at this was a top 5 cartoon shows, it was very hard to make a decision because I know as a kid there were so many cartoon shows that were out that were good. I'm sure all you guys can relate to this, that if you had to make a top 5 cartoon show, it would be almost impossible. Like, there was just so many cartoon shows that we watched when we were kids. Like, it would be so hard to make a very legitimate a decision. But however, I came up with a decision. I have 1 bonus. I almost had 2 bonuses to be exact. But I actually managed to narrow it down to 1. So let's get right into it. At the number 5 spot, I have Courage the Cowardly Dog. Now, I don't know if most of you like Courage. It was a little pink dog who had a big hole in his tooth. I guess he was eating too much candy, he had some cavities. But yeah, I really liked Courage when I was coming up, and he was a very funny show. If you don't really know too much about the show, Courage was a show. He would get these visitors to the house. They would always try to do something to Muriel. Courage was like Muriel's like a protector. He really didn't care too much for Eustace. Eustace really didn't care too much for them, to be exact. So it was mainly just Courage and Muriel. Now, the reason that I really like Courage was I just thought it was funny, and I liked seeing him I mess around, and it was a good laugh. I mean, that when you were a kid, that you really didn't get bored, and you really didn't have too much criteria. Everything was just funny to you, so that you never was really bored as a kid. I remember when I was a kid, I never ever really said I was bored, so that's part of the reason, right? Now, this number 4 spot, what's this part? Like, this was the really hard decision, like these upcoming ones. But this number 4 spot, I'll probably have to give to Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, the reason Yu-Gi-Oh! Was it was a trading card game. I collected the cards too, and also and I dueled. And I had the little arm thing when Yu-Gi-Oh! I even had some of the Egyptian god cards. I had the Winged Dragon of Ra. It was in very bad condition. Actually, I had all 3 at a point in time, but something I forget where they went. So they all disappeared somehow. But yeah, I had all 3 at a point in time. But yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh was really good. It was a really good show, and my favorite. I always liked the Kaiba. I mean, I always, in every anime show, I always kind of like the bad guy, but who's also kind of like the good guy. I mean, like he has like that stubbornness to him that I kind of have, which that kind of makes like a good player. I mean, like a good person to like. So I don't know, it was kind of just like that. It was like that stubbornness. Then but I stopped watching Yu-Gi-Oh! After it got stupid. Like, they started riding on motorcycles and stuff like that. I even watched the Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie, The Pyramid of Light, and I had all those cards, the Egyptian, I forgot what they was called, the Sphinx, the Sphinx or something like that. I had all 3 of them. So I watched Yu-Gi-Oh! like a lot. Like it wasn't just a little bit. I actually watched the show kind of a lot. But yeah, and after that, I kind of stopped. So it was pretty much around the time when I forget when I really stopped watching the show. I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, it was right after when they started getting when Yugi left and it was some new guy who took over. That's when I stopped watching it, and I didn't watch Yu-Gi-Oh! No more because I couldn't take it. I'm really not too into new faces and stuff like that. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Would be my number 4 spot. Now at the number 3 spot, this would be probably a lot of your guys' choice too. But Pokemon. Now Pokemon was a really interesting show because it lasted for so long. and it was at the point in time it was really good. And I actually really liked Pokemon a lot until like I said they started changing stuff around too, and that's when it got bad. It's like they try to do too much with the game that just ruins it. But Pokemon, I love that show. I watched all the way up until I believe, when did I stop watching it? Shit, I actually watched Pokemon probably the longest out of almost all my shows I watched. I can't really remember when I stopped watching it, but I know I remember them like when the Ruby and Sapphire came out. I was still watching it then, and I watched all the movies, even the ones that recently came out. I think the latest one was the one with Rayquaza and Deoxys. I watched that movie. Then there was another one. I think it might be the one after that. I can't really remember too much, but yeah, Pokemon was my number 4, and it was probably one of my favorites. One of my favorite games to play because it was just so competitive. Because all my friends had it, and we all would all try to compete with each other to see who was the best. So that's another reason that made it very very interesting to me, and it kind of kept my interest. Now these last three spots are crazy. This was so hard to choose from, especially number 2 and number 1. Now at the number 2 spot is Ed, Edd n Eddy. Ed, Edd n Eddy was by far the funniest cartoon show I ever watched. Now you could disagree with that, however, but I don't see no other cartoon show that was funnier than Ed, Edd n Eddy. I was every morning, but before I would go to school when I was in high school, I would watch Ed, Edd n Eddy because it would come on for 2 episodes while I was eating breakfast at home. I didn't go to my school to eat breakfast. I actually ate breakfast at home. So that so when we watched breakfast, that's what we watched, and it was pretty a good show. At the point in time, my favorite character when I was watching Ed, and Eddy, it would probably most likely be Eddie, because he was so stupid and he was just so funny, and I just like all three of their characteristics just all like work together to me. I like the fact that Ed was dumb and stinky, and I like the fact that Double D was a geek. Like it's all like so you have like a geek, like a non-caring person, and a funny guy, which can implement into a good show. If you that's 3 good personalities that you will ever get this you probably most likely see a lot. And then you have Sarah and Jazz and Kevin and Jimmy and Plank and all them people, but it was just mainly Ed and Eddie and that stuff that they would do. Now it was make the fact that Eddie, because he would always try to scam people off, and it would be funny. And I don't like I don't think I really didn't like about Ed and Eddie was the movie. I wasn't too fond of the movie, but the show was definitely an A+ show to me. I actually wish it still came on to this day, because there isn't nothing on TV good to watch besides the only thing I watch is sports, literally. So if I'm not watching sports, then that's pretty much I'm not watching TV. Now at this number 1 spot, if you don't agree with me, then you can kill yourself. But Dragon Ball Z, there isn't a show that kept me more excited for the next show than Dragon Ball Z. I remember when I was a kid in 6th grade, it would come on from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, 2 episodes back to back, and that would be right after I ate dinner, and it would be the perfect time because I would come home from school I just couldn't wait to watch like Dragon Ball Z. Like you ever know, like when you come home from school, that first hour goes so quick. Like when you get home, like around 3 to 4, like an hour goes by like in the time. Like it seems like it's 5 minutes and it's an hour. Like that's the quickest hour of the day when you're in high school and you in that first hour of your home. But Dragon Ball Z came on at 6 to 7, or yeah, I'm sure it was 6 to 7, or might have been 5 to 6. But it was either I watched every episode. Now, the only thing I really didn't like about Dragon Ball Z is I didn't watch the Dragon Ball too much because it was a little gay. Now, Dragon Ball Z, I watched all the episodes from the Saiyan Saga with Frieza in them. I mean, from when Vegeta and Nappa first came to, all the way up until GT. Now, my favorite saga would be the Cell Saga, just because it was the most entertaining. And it was the most intense, and I like the fact that Goku wasn't the number 1 superhero and he wasn't the strongest at the time. At the strongest at the time would have been Gohan. If he would have kept training, he would have been a Super Saiyan 4 too, and he would have been stronger than Goku and Vegeta. I believe at that time when Cell Saga Gohan was he was in another level. He was at the top prior of his his skill level. So that would be my number 1 favorite. I haven't played the games. If there was a tournament like for Tenkaichi 3, I would have part 1. The next up is Dexter. I really don't have too much to say about Dexter's Laboratory. It was just a decent show, and it was funny. That was my bonus. I'll try to bring up the scoreboard here, and I think I've reached 70 kills. But hey, it's good fucking dad.